Yo, DPS, hop off. You're getting no kills. But I'm getting no heals. Where are my healers? Does this sound like every single Marvel's ranked game that you've been in? Well, look no further because I'm about to fix all those problems with understanding your role. This game is very team-based oriented. You gotta work together. It's not just your DPS's fault. It's not just your tank's fault. And it's not just your healer's fault. It's all of your faults. Now, once in a while, you might get one guy who's a total scrub throwing your game. I get it. But overall, it's a team effort, and we got to understand that. This is why you got to know your role correctly. Let's start off with the tank role. Your primary objectives are to absorb damage, create space, and control fights. I always rank the tank as the most important, but your tank needs to be good so that your DPS can be better. Now let's go over some key responsibilities as a tank main. You gotta soak up damage. You're gonna be at the front line and you gotta take hits for your team, so you cannot be scared to take damage. Just know that you're gonna be taken care of by your supports. Number 2, create space. I see a lot of tanks just stay on the cart. You need to go forward past the point and pressure the other team's supports, the other team's DPS, the other team's tanks. If you're just sitting back, holding the shield up or blocking damage, you're not doing enough as a tank. You got to get in there. You got to get dirty, which is going to bring me to my next point: disrupt the enemy. You're going to use your abilities and your ult to create devastation and mayhem. I talk about this in my tier list guide, especially when you're playing Hulk and the Thing. They're great for getting in there and causing a lot of mayhem to throw off the enemy, which is going to help your DPS get some more free kills. And last but not least, protecting your team. You can't just be tunnel visioned looking forward holding W the whole time. If your DPS and supports are getting dove and they're getting pressured by the other team, don't just have your back to them. You gotta turn around and help them a bit more. Here's some common mistakes that I see with a lot of tank players, especially at the higher ranks. Remember, I'm Celestial 3. Well, I have D rank right now, but let's not talk about that. It's overextending without the support of your team. Yes, you can take a lot of damage. Yes, you're supposed to create space. But if your team is getting pressured or they're not with you, but if you're going solo dolo Rambo style, trying to take out the whole team by yourself without the support of your team, you're gonna get fried. Number 2, ignoring your healers. You need to position yourself where they can heal you. LOS, line of sight. If you are going around a corner, pushing up, and your healers are behind, they're not gonna be able to get heals from you. I talk about this third-person perspective when you're playing competitive gaming all the time. Now, I don't mean from how you're actually playing the game, you're in third-person mode. You gotta be able to play your character on your screen and think about if you were playing the other players on your team as well from their point of view. So you got to take yourself out of just your individual self when you're playing and think about how your team is viewing you as well when you're making those decisions. Playing too passively. Your job is to engage and create pressure. Why are you sitting back and waiting for me as a Bucky to go in front of you to try to take out the whole team? You gotta be aggressive. You can't be a scaredy cat. Play with high confidence and get in there and move forward as a tank. Here's how to play effectively. You need to coordinate with your healers. If your support dies, you're not gonna last long. So if they're getting cooked in the back and you're just still running forward, guess what? Your team is gonna keep losing. Engage first and let your team follow up. Stop waiting for them to go in first. And this last one is crucial. Know when to fall back. Tanks aren't invincible. If you're low and no healer is nearby, please back off. Stop running forward if it's not working all the time. Let's go over the DPS role. Your primary objective, it's pretty simple. Deal high damage and secure eliminations for your team. Here's some key responsibilities. Focus priority targets. That means you want to try to eliminate their healers and high value enemies first, aka the other DPS that are causing mayhem and screwing your team up. Capitalize on openings. So when a tank engages and has someone else weak, you got to finish them off, especially if they're distracted. This is how you're going to get your kills. It's going to be very hard to win one-on-ones. If you're good, yes, you can do it, obviously, but this is going to be a lot easier. This will also tie into my point with the tank. If you're a tank and you get someone super weak, you don't have to overextend to try to get that kill. It's going to be your DPS's job to try to finish them off. Maintain constant damage. You just want to keep up the pressure so the enemy team can't regroup. Even if you're not getting final elims, but you're causing a lot of pressure and just constantly damaging the other team while you're progressing forward and winning the game, that is also a good thing. And last but not least, stay alive. I see a lot of bigger streamers, the one with the massive fade. I'm not trying to call anyone out, but he loves to flank with Punisher. I'm not sure why. And then he gets cooked for it. If you're dead, you're not going to be dealing any damage, so you got to position yourself correctly, especially staying with the team if you're not one of those flank characters. Here are some common mistakes with the DPS. Tunnel visioning on kills instead of playing the objective. I see a lot of DPS as well running around by themselves trying to get kills instead of playing with the team. The overall goal is to push the card or win control of the hill. Yes, it's great you're getting a kill or two in the back line, but if you're still not getting the objective or pushing the cart forward, guess what? You're gonna lose. And I'm assuming we're all watching this video here because we want to win. We're tired of losing. Yes, I'm right there with you guys. Diving alone without support. Okay, maybe if you're Psylocke, Black Panther, Magic, you can get in there by yourself. But if you're Punisher, Hela, one of those type of characters, and you're going for these big flanks to try to get a MLG top 10 clutch play from the back, it's probably not gonna work, guys. You gotta stick with your team and get the support from your tank and healers. And last but not least, ignoring tanks and supports. You gotta help your team when they're in danger. If your healers are getting dove, primary focus, stop doing what you're doing, turn around and help your team. Because if they're constantly dead in the back, the healers, guess what? Overall, you're gonna lose. Even if you're taking out their healers by your trading, you're gonna be in this endless battle of ping pong going back and forth, and you're probably gonna lose. Help your healers when they're getting dove, then go for their healers. You're gonna have about 10-15 seconds to do that if you're a dive character. Here's how to play effectively. Work with your tank. Follow up when they engage and don't go in first. Again, maybe if you're Psylocke, Black Panther, one of those type of characters, you could go in first, but it's much easier when the tank is in there, they're distracting them, and the healers or DPS are a little bit weak. They don't need to be one shot, but if your tank can just do a little bit of damage and then you can follow up, it's gonna make it way, way, way easier. Watching enemy supports. If their healer is alive, fights will last longer. Now, I see a lot of DPS farming the other team's tanks to get their ult up. Now, in certain scenarios, that's going to be great, but guess what you're doing? You're going to probably see this a lot. You've probably seen it, is you're farming the other team's support ults. So you're going to be again in this never-ending tug-of-war ping-pong match. It's much easier to kill the enemy's healer without using your ult and they pop a support ult. Try not to just farm your ult by going for the tanks. Try to actually kill the healers and the DPS with your regular damage abilities. And last but not least, positioning is key. Avoid unnecessary risks and play from off angles where you can deal maximum damage safely. It's all about slightly pushing up, dealing damage, hopefully getting a kill, and then pushing a bit more forward. If you keep overextending by yourself, you're going to just keep getting fried, and it's not helping anyone except for the other team. Let's go over the healer role. The objective is to keep your team alive and sustain fights. Here are some key responsibilities. Prioritize healing your tanks first and then your DPS second. You gotta keep the front line healthy first. I see a lot of DPS begging for heals. Guess what, buddy? Go play the med packs like I do all the time, because if your tank's dead, it's all gonna fall apart from there. Again, this is a team ecosystem type of game. It's not just one person will win the whole game for you. Position safely. Just stay behind cover and avoid unnecessary damage. If you see a little cube or wall to your left, you probably want to get a nice LOS, line of sight, from that and healing on a bit of a diagonal instead of out in the open. Just 2 steps to the left, 2 steps to the right, playing near the cover is probably going to make your gameplay a lot better just with that quick tip when you're positioning yourself as a healer. Think about where you're standing when you're healing instead of just mindlessly holding down left click healing your tank. Your support ults, they are critical in saving the game or advancing the game for your team. They are crucial. They can make or break so many of these team fights because they're super powerful, okay? If you have 2 healers, Luna, Cloak and Dagger, Invisible Woman, blah, 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 you want to coordinate with your team who's going to pop their ult first, all right? There's nothing worse than popping 2 support ults at the exact same time, and then you're screwed for the next team fight when you could have had 2 team fight wins instead of just 1. And last but not least, it's survive. Obviously, if you're constantly dying because of your positioning, your team's going to get fried. You want to make sure you have an escape plan if you're starting to get dove or if shit's starting to hit the fan. Here are some common mistakes. Healing at the wrong time. If a fight is lost, don't waste resources. If you're down 2 players already and your tank's dead and you're probably not going to get the point, there's no point in using your support ult. You're just delaying the inevitable. Better to just take your lick, reset, and try to open up the next fight with that ult. Poor positioning, you're either too far forward or you're too isolated. Try not to sit right in the open in the LOS of the other team. You want to sit back a bit so you can heal your team without taking damage. Last but not least, not communicating. You want to call out when you're out of healing or you need protection. There's nothing worse because I play mainly DPS and then out of nowhere my healers start complaining, dude, we're getting dove. Bro, you haven't said anything. I'm over there trying to do the exact same thing that's happening to you. If you don't say something in game chat or in the text chat, it's gonna be a lot harder for me. Otherwise, I gotta be a 360 head on the swivel playing Secret Service covering you while trying to be a sniper shot killing the other team. Communicate. Communication is key, guys. Here's how to play effectively as a healer. Stick with your team. Don't wander alone, all right? Don't try to be a DPS healer and try to win the game. You're probably not going to do that for us. Balance healing and utility. Sometimes it's better to buff or debuff instead of just healings. If you're Cloak and Dagger, switch into the DPS a little bit, helping your team out finish that final kill. If you're going to win the fight and your teammates are healthy, there's no point in healing the tank from 75% health to 100% health. Just get the kill and win the point. And last but not least, keep moving, constantly strafing. Semicircles, left and right. Don't stand still. Moving forward a little bit, moving back a little bit. Don't stay in the same spot the whole game. Moving on to our next point, playing together as a team. Synergy is everything. Tanks, DPS, and healers must work together to win. Here's some team strategies. The tanks lead the charge, and the DPS follows up and finishes the fights. DPS focuses on priority threats. Take out the enemy supports, and that will weaken the whole team. That's where the chain of command starts to fall apart. If you're a healer, stay safe and sustain fights. Keeping everyone alive means longer, stronger fights. And please communicate and adapt. If something isn't working, if a certain character isn't working, switch. Forget about your ego. The egos in this game, especially at the higher ranks, are killing me. Yes, I would love to play Psylocke the whole game because I'm good with her, but guess what? Sometimes it's not working. So for the betterment of the colony, as Nick Merck says, I will switch. I will also gladly switch roles if I'm not doing good on DPS. I'll sit back and heal, but you better, if you're going to be complaining, you better switch and carry me then. Please switch the team comp if it's not working. I see a lot of people hard-headed not wanting to switch. Well, bro, I don't play tank. Learn. That's as simple as I can say it. If you don't know how to play the other characters at a higher rank, what are you doing, bro? You gotta learn every character if you want to win. This is competitive, high-level gaming now that we're getting into. Bad team habits that lose the games. Everyone playing selfishly, not focusing on objectives. Stop hitting tab to see the stats. I don't care if you have 20 kills. I don't care if you have 30 kills. We're freaking losing the game. You could have 100 kills with aimbot. We're still losing the game. Who gives a shit? All right, stop playing selfishly. This is a team game. I assume we all want to win, correct? I do. I'm pretty sure you do too. That's why you're so mad that we're losing. But just because you're getting a lot of kills or you have maximum healing, forget the stats. The only stat that matters at the end of the day is if you get the victory screen or the defeat screen. Number 2, tanks diving without support. I hear this complaint all the time. Dude, you're not healing me, but look at all the space I'm creating. Bro, they're getting fried in the back because you're not turning around how I said earlier in the video because you're just W keying as a tank. You gotta make sure that we're all ready to push together forward. If we're getting fried in the back and you're just solo ramboing at the front, it's not gonna work. DPS chasing kills instead of focusing on the team fight. I'm so glad that as a DPS you're getting kills, but guess what, buddy? If you turn around, we're all getting cooked on the point. Instead of shooting that raccoon in the back that's popping the little heals, maybe you should help our team get a pick first that's in the team fight. Then you can go kill the raccoon so the chain of command falls down. But if the 5v5 on the point is getting wrecked while you're peppering the raccoon, guess what? You're gonna kill the rocket. Fantastic, you got another kill on the stat sheet. But guess what? We lost the hill because you were over there producing some peppering damage on a healer while we were getting smoked in the team fight. So you gotta prioritize the team fight first, and then if there's an opportunity, you can try to go single out a healer or another DPS. And last but not least, it's not really the healer's fault too often, but healers positioning poorly and dying too early. If you're running around by yourself instead of staying near the team, it's going to be easier for a guy like me who plays Psylocke to absolutely fry you in the back. So you want to make sure you're sticking, if you got a Namor on your team, you're sticking with them, right? If you have a Penny that's playing around the spider webs, you probably want to stay in her spider webs when you're a healer. And here's my final tip of the video. A great team always plays their roles right. Master yours and you'll see way more wins. Master your role, get good with a bunch of different heroes in that role so you can swap if necessary. If this video helped you out, drop a like, hit that subscribe button for more rival tips, and let me know in the comments what role do you play the most and what tips you would like more in the future.